Greetings, I am the wrestling fan. I may not be the best wrestling fan, but I am the finest. Are celebrities being involved with professional wrestling a good thing? Wrestling fans seem to be split when it comes to this question. On one hand, it brings certain eyes to the product that may not have been looking that way before. When a celebrity comes in, it can cause the mainstream press to pay attention and possibly bring in some new fans. On the other hand, it takes away attention from a lot of the current talent, and celebrities usually get a large paycheck for their appearance. That money, according to some fans, should be going to the hardworking talent. Of course, celebrities just appearing is one thing. Them actually getting in the ring and wrestling is another. The biggest attention always comes when a celebrity steps in between the ropes to tussle with a wrestler. Most wrestling fans remember this beginning with Mr. T and the build-up to the first WrestleMania, but the first occurrence that I can recall is when legendary boxer Muhammad Ali got in the ring with the late great Gorilla Monsoon. Over the years, several celebrities have competed in a wrestling ring, and while some were mostly okay, there were others that just... Fucking really? Well, at least they didn't do something insane like put Drew Carey in the WWE Hall of Fame or anything. God damn it! I forgot about that. What the fuck were they fucking thinking? I mean, Drew Carey is actually in the WWE Hall of Fame with the likes of the late great Andre the Giant or Roddy Piper. Excuse me. I need a bucket. Sorry. Anyway, the reason why I'm bringing all of this up is because I'm going to travel back to the year 2000. And remember when Hollywood actor David Arquette actually became the WCW World Heavyweight Champion. Yup, that actually happened. For those of you who didn't know, all two of you, the man who boinked Courtney Cox for several years, and for that, I'll give the man a little credit, and starred in such classic films as C-Spot Run and Eight-Legged Freaks, held one of the most prestigious titles in pro wrestling history. I consider this to be the worst moment in professional wrestling history. Before any of you load your Owen Hart or Chris Benoit bullets into your corrective gun chambers, let me explain. When I say the worst moment in professional wrestling history, I mean in terms of matches, characters, rivalries, and storylines. I'm not referring to the real-life tragedies that unfortunately seem to occur every few years. I would never make light of those. Get it? Got it? Good. Now, I consider this to be the worst moment in pro wrestling history for several reasons, but one in particular that I'll get to in a little bit. And look, it's no secret, we all know this was a Vince Russo idea, and boy howdy, has he had just so many great ones, right? And look, I'll be honest, this wasn't his worst idea ever, okay? He's had ones that were far worse. Pinata on a pole match. Enough said. But I still can't believe that this got greenlit. I mean, it still boggles my brain. To me, that's like if at the first WrestleMania, they would have booked Mr. T to win the WWF title from Hulk Hogan. I mean, even though Vince has done some crazy shit over the years, he never would have done that. He never would have put his most prestigious title on a Hollywood actor. Honestly, I just feel bad thinking about the writer who would have suggested that idea to Vince back in the day. I'm Vince McMahon. I'm Vince McMahon. I'm Vince McMahon. I'm Vince McMahon. Oh, Mr. McMahon, I'm sorry for barging in on you, but I have a really great idea for the main event for WrestleMania.
I like your initiative, young man. Tell me your brilliant idea. Hopefully it gives me an erection.
Okay, sir. Hopefully it does. Look, I know you originally wanted a tag team match, with Mr. T and Hulk Hogan taking on Roddy Piper and Paul Orndorff.
God damn it! Now that's a main event. Even though none of these guys are John Cena.
Who, sir? Okay, anyway, look, I found it somewhat odd that at the very first WrestleMania ever, we're not putting the WWF title on the line, so I found a way to fix that.
I guess I can see what you're saying, son. Alright, tell me your brilliant ideas. I'm all ears.
Great. Okay, well, instead of the tag team match like you wanted, we turn Mr. T heel, okay? And, we have him fight Hulk Hogan for the title in the main event. But in a move that will surely get us in all the papers and even on, the television news, Mr. T wins the WWF title. And we have a Hollywood heavyweight as our main champion. Don't you think that's a great idea, Mr. McMahon? Oh! I'm guessing you didn't like it. Oh!
That gave me an erection.
Now, to give Arquette a little more credit, he was a decent comedic actor who was a big name at the time from starring in the Scream movies. And like I said earlier, he was bumping uglies with Courtney Cox, who was a huge star because of the television show Friends. Of course, he wasn't brought on for all that. He was brought on board in WCW because he had just starred in the box office bomb that WCW thought was a great idea to make. That's right, I'm talking about the cinematic abortion that was Ready to Rumble. I reviewed this smelly fart of a film during the early days of my first run of this show. Unfortunately, due to copyright, my arch nemesis, I can no longer upload that review, but I can give some quick thoughts on my feelings towards it. It's a stupid fucking movie. But after I had watched it and made fun of it, hell, I even made a second video to make fun of it some more, I found myself to be very entertained by it and consider it a guilty pleasure movie. It's very nostalgic to watch now, and it's pretty harmless. I mean, shit compared to other movies about pro wrestling at Citizen fucking Kane. Need I remind all of you of the cinematic holocaust that is No Holds Barred? Yet another review that I can't re-upload, but honestly, that's a relief. Any second of that movie that makes its way online kills me a little inside. Hell, when it was released on DVD a year or two ago, it about killed my soul. But I took care of that. So yes, David Arquette was brought in to get more press for Ready to Rumble, and of course, for a dying WCW. Did it work? Nah. All that backstory is now out of the way, so let me go ahead and remember David Arquette as the WCW Champion. Fuck. David Arquette as WCW Champion was basically a last-ditch effort by Vince Russo to bring WCW back from the brink of destruction. By this point in their programming, the damage was already done, but Arquette winning their biggest prize killed the company in a lot of fans' eyes, and sent many of them switching channels for good to watch the WWF, who were still on fire. When David Arquette made his first appearance on WCW programming on the April 12, 2000 edition of Thunder, remember Thunder? Me either. He really didn't do that much on the show. They showed him at the beginning of it, and then didn't even mention him again until the very end of the programming, when he jumped in the ring to help out his friend, Diamond Dallas Page, after being attacked by Eric Bischoff. I actually have a bone to pick with this part of the story. Like I said earlier, WCW showed David Arquette at the top of WCW Thunder, but then we didn't hear about him or see him again until he jumped the railing at the end of the show to help out Diamond Dallas Page. Now look, The moment DDP was getting beaten up in the ring, they should have had a camera right on Arquette's face showing his concern for his friend. I mean, when he finally jumped the railing, it wouldn't have been a surprise, really, but at least it could have, built up the anticipation and built up the moment until it actually happened. A good example of this being done right is when Floyd Money Mayweather jumped the guardrail at No Way Out 2008 to take on the Big Show. Yes, by showing Mayweather reacting to Big Show being a big meanie to Rey Mysterio, it was obvious that he would jump in the ring, but it was still a surprise when he actually did it, and the audience was on pins and needles waiting for that moment. WWE does this perfectly almost every time a celebrity appears and tussles with a wrestler. Okay, I know it's not an important part of this story, not even close, but to me it just shows that WCW at the time couldn't do a fucking thing right, even something as simple as building a moment. Now for those of you who are actually still watching this video, I'll continue. Jeff Jarrett then came out to defend Eric Bischoff and destroyed one of his very real guitars over David Arquette's head to end his first night on a WCW TV show. And I hate to do this, but I'll give Vince Russo a little credit in that David Arquette's first appearance on WCW programming really wasn't that bad. Okay, it could have been a lot worse. I mean, it got fans talking, and they were wondering what was going to happen next with David Arquette and WCW. I mean, honestly, it was a hell of a lot more interesting than the constant power struggle between the Millionaires Club and the New Blood. And please, please don't make me go into that. I'm already pissed off enough. Arquette didn't appear on WCW programming again until the April 24th, 2000 edition of Monday Nitro, when he actually wrestled Eric Bischoff. It was the match that everyone wanted to see. And by everyone, I mean no one. The match was exactly what you would expect it to be. A complete waste of time. But at least it made sense in terms of the storyline. Arquette won after Jeff Jarrett accidentally hit Bischoff over the head with another very real guitar. Yay! Later in the evening, Arquette's BFF, DDP, would get an opportunity for the WCW title against then-champion Jeff Jarrett in a steel cage match. This was a rematch from the main event of Spring Stampede 2000 that saw Jarrett defeat Paige for the vacant title after DDP's then-wife Kimberly turned heel and cost her husband the match. Ah, a heel turn. Those were so rare in WCW, weren't they? Especially in the year 2000. Sarcasm! So DDP defeated Jarrett for the WCW title in another classic. After DDP hit Jarrett with his diamond cutter, and then in a horribly stupid finish, saw Mike Awesome hold the referee's arm so he couldn't count to 3, and then Kanyon came in to attack Awesome so he then could. Wait a minute. Why didn't Mike Awesome just beat up the referee? Take him out of commission? What the fuck, WCW? Arquette then came out to celebrate this momentous occasion with his good buddy DDP as they went to the crowd to close out Nitro. On the following episode of Thunder, remember it now? It was like SmackDown, only shitty. Like SmackDown nowadays. A tag team match was set to take place for the WCW title where DDP would team with David Arquette to take on Eric Bischoff and Jeff Jarrett, and whoever got the pinfall would be the WCW Champion. Oh, God. Let me take a moment because of how fucking stupid this was. Okay. That mainly saw DDP and Jarrett in the ring as Bischoff took out Arquette early in the match when they fought to the back. Really? You couldn't have just beaten him up in front of the crowd and just left him laying there? Did your laziness know no end? Bischoff came out to help Jarrett fight DDP, but Arquette showed his bravery and made his way back out to spear Bischoff and pin him. A referee ran to the ring and, for some reason, ignored DDP pinning Jarrett, even though he pinned Jarrett before Arquette pinned Bischoff, and was also the first goddamn pin that the ref should see when he got in the ring. But it was WCW, so fuck logic. And he counted to 3 to give the match and the WCW Championship to David Hollywood Arquette. Fuck, this still makes me so goddamn fucking angry. I gotta punch something. I gotta punch something to make myself feel better. Oh. 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 This is my dog, Mini Macho Man. Oh. A lot of you may remember him from, you know, when I used to do my show. And, well, if I came back, he had to come back too. I mean, he's a good puppy. He's a good puppy, aren't you? Yes, you're a good puppy. Oh, I'm sorry. Did my screaming scare you? I'm sorry. It's just, you know, David Arquette became the WCW fucking World Champion! What? Hey, all of you shut up. That's my dog, okay? He shits in my yard. I can throw him across the room if I feel like it. After the match, DDP celebrates with Arquette as the crowd looks stunned because... Do I even have to explain why? Okay, first of all, why the hell was DDP happy about David Arquette winning the belt? He just lost the world title to an actor. I mean, don't you think he'd be pissed off a little bit? Second, what was the point in DDP winning the WCW title from Jeff Jarrett on Nitro? I mean, wouldn't it have made much more sense if David Arquette pinned Jarrett in this tag team match? Or I guess they could have kept the same finish with him pinning Bischoff, and then Jarrett and Bischoff could have been at odds. But I don't understand this at all. Jarrett and Bischoff were the heels. David Arquette pinning Jarrett to win the world title would have looked Jarrett look like an idiot, and the crowd would have loved that. Or even if he would have pinned Bischoff, fine. But DDP winning the WCW title made no sense. I mean, this just made DDP look like a fucking idiot. And it proved to me that at the time, nobody gave a shit about the WCW title. I mean, yeah, think about it. DDP didn't care that he just lost the most prestigious title in WCW, so why should us, as fans, give a shit about it at all? Okay, look. I have much more to say about David Arquette actually winning the championship, but I'm saving that for the end. For now, let's look at the rest of this tragedy as it unfolds. David Arquette would only make 2 more appearances during his tenure as champion, and I use that word loosely. One was on the May 1st, 2000 edition of Monday Nitro that showed a vignette of Arquette on the set of the film 3,000 Miles to Graceland, another great film by the Arquette Man, where he was yelled at by his wife, Courtney Cox, because she was scared he was going to get hurt since he wasn't a real wrestler. Their co-star, Kurt Russell, wandered in and laughed in Arquette's face when he was told about his WCW title victory. Honestly, and I hate to admit it, but I was actually very entertained by this vignette. It was probably the best part of David Arquette's tenure as WCW Champion. But that may just be because Kurt Russell was in it. I mean, he's just so dreamy. Anyway, later on that same edition of Nitro, Arquette would defend his title against Tank Abbott in what would turn out to be his only successful title defense because of DDP's help. Now, I didn't get to watch this match because, unfortunately, I couldn't find any footage of it, and it's not on the WWE Network yet, so I'm sorry. Wait a minute. No, I'm not. I didn't want to fucking watch it in the first place. Arquette would then go on to defend the title again that following Sunday at WCW Slamboree in a triple steel cage match against DDP and Jeff Jarrett. Really, WCW? I mean, fucking really? You had to bring in the triple cage from Ready to Rumble for this match? You already made David Arquette your world champion. I mean, isn't that gimmick enough? This match was another classic. Classic! That of course mainly saw DDP and Jarrett battling, while Arquette tried to stay away from the fight. To be fair, DDP and Jeff Jarrett worked their asses off to make this match entertaining, and to their credit, I think they kind of succeeded. It's actually quite the entertaining contest. Until you get to the end. All 3 men climbed up to the top of the triple cage, but Arquette turned on DDP and hit him in the head with one of those really real guitars. This let Jarrett grab the belt and once again become the WCW Champion. What? What? Why? Why was this heel turn needed? I mean, what was the plan here, WCW? So, David Arquette was actually working with Eric Bischoff and Jeff Jarrett the entire time? Why? There were a million other ways that David Arquette could have went back to Hollywood without the WCW Championship. I don't get it. This makes no damn sense. Okay. It just occurred to me that David Arquette came out on Monday Nitro with Eric Bischoff and Jeff Jarrett the following night, and okay, maybe they explained it well. Maybe the storyline does make sense. Maybe everything is explained perfectly, and I can stop bitching about it. Okay, I just have to watch it. Okay. Like I said, David Arquette came out for his final appearance, at least for this storyline, on the May 8th, 2000 edition of Monday Nitro to explain his actions from the night before. Bischoff actually spoke first and went through every damn moment of this atrocity of a storyline, and basically said that the point of it was to fuck Page over and to let Arquette live out his dream of being a world champion. Arquette reiterated what Bischoff said, and eventually ate a diamond cutter from Page to send him back to Hollywood to make terrible movies. So that's what this was all about, huh? David Arquette becoming the WCW World Champion was just about fucking with Page, and so that some tiny comedic actor could desecrate a cherished championship just so he could build up his ego. That's what all of this was about, huh? You know what I find really funny? And I wish I could play it for you if it wasn't for copyright, arch nemesis. But Eric Bischoff, during the segment, actually said that this whole thing was the greatest swerve in professional wrestling history. No! It wasn't, you fucking moron! David Arquette as WCW Champion was a complete waste of fucking time. The storyline was beyond stupid. The match quality was awful, for the most part, and it didn't help with developing any of the characters and didn't leave Jarrett or DDP better off because of it. It just made them look like idiots. Vince Russo should still be ashamed of himself for greenlighting this, and honestly, even though I'm sure Bischoff may have not had much to say about it, he should be ashamed too for not speaking up and putting a stop to it. I mean, yes, they did succeed in getting some mainstream press for WCW and for Ready to Rumble, and it did get the attention of wrestling fans, but not in a good way. It made so many of their own fans switch the channel to the WWF for good, and for the fans that stayed loyal, it left a horrible taste in their mouths for the rest of WCW's lifespan. This really was the final nail in WCW's coffin, even though the company would somehow survive for almost one more year. But why was this so awful for the company? What was the one part that made it so deadly? And that's what I've been building up to. That's what all of this is about. There's one major point that I wanted to make with this review. Okay? Here we go. The worst part about David Arquette winning the WCW World Heavyweight Championship was that David Arquette won the WCW World Heavyweight Championship. Okay, I know, I know, but okay, just let me explain. Nowadays, the WCW title isn't seen as much, especially during this period of WCW. But the WCW title at one time was considered to be the biggest championship ever in professional wrestling. Before it became the WCW title, it was the NWA title, and there was nothing bigger than that in wrestling. If you won that belt, you were the man, and one of the best ever. The NWA title is considered to be one of the first pro wrestling championships, and its lineage dates back all the way to 1948. That's almost 20 years before the WWW's inception. The first ever wrestling world champion, George Hackenschmidt, won the title in 1905, and eventually this world championship that was held by several more legends, including Frank Gotch and Ed the Strangler Lewis, in 1958 was merged with the NWA World Heavyweight title. That means that the NWA title now represented the oldest wrestling title in the world, and so many legends would go on to hold it, including Lou Thez, Buddy Rogers, Dory Funk Jr., Harley Race, Jack Briscoe, Terry Funk, Dusty Rhodes, Ric Flair, Ricky the Dragon Steamboat, Sting, and Barry Windham. Eventually, the NWA pulled out of WCW, and even though the title is still around and it's its own thing, the WCW title carried on its lineage. Then we have Ric Flair win it some more, Sting again, Lex Luger, Big Van Vader, Ron Simmons became the first African American to ever win a World Heavyweight Championship wrestling belt, Hulk Hogan, Randy Savage, Goldberg, Kevin Nash, DDP, and Bret the Hitman Hart all had turns with the big gold belt. Then in the year 2000, the belt lost steam because even before Arquette had it around his skinny waist, there had already been 10 title changes. 10! Before April! What, were they going for the record? But the title still somewhat meant something. Then they put it on Arquette, and that was it. That killed the WCW Championship and the legacy that it had with it. Some of you may be thinking I'm overreacting, but I'm not. This move by Vince Russo completely shit all over every wrestling legend that once held this belt. It reduced the title to nothing more than a prop. And yeah, that's basically what they are in pro wrestling, but you have to treat them like they do mean something, because if you don't, then why should the audience care? Every promotion has a world champion or a champion that represents said promotion, and that title is going to main event almost every single night. It's usually going to be the most important match on the card. If the title means nothing, then your promotion is dead. Not only did WCW kill off their biggest title, but again, they took the lineage of the most important title in wrestling and flushed it down the fucking toilet. I understand what they were trying to do, but if they wanted Arquette to win a title, it should have been a lesser title like the TV or Cruiserweight Championships. I mean, he shouldn't have won a title at all, but at least it wouldn't have been the world title. They took a championship that meant the world to their audience and wrestling fans around the world and made it mean nothing. That's the ultimate tragedy here. That's why I hate this so fucking much. It also showed me that Vince Russo really doesn't give a shit about the history of pro wrestling. The fact that he still thinks this was a good idea just proves how big of a fucking moron he really is, and he should have been blackballed from pro wrestling after this debacle. Yet people still listen to him and even pay him for ideas. Why? Someone please explain to me why. And that's why I think this is the worst moment in professional wrestling history, bar none. The fact that the real victim here was basically the most important championship belt of its era just makes my blood boil over with anger, and unfortunately, it's something that I'm never gonna forget or forgive. I mean, yeah, they tried to make the title mean something again by having Booker T win it, but even he couldn't save it, especially with the ridiculous matches they put him in. I mean, what was that match called? A San Francisco 49ers match with the boxes in the ring? And how can any of us take that seriously? Now, a lot of you may think that I hate David Arquette because of this, and the truth is, I don't. I don't blame him one bit for what happened. It wasn't his fault at all. He was just going along for the ride. As far as I know, he knew it was a bad idea, but Russo pushed him into it. Plus, I have a lot of respect for Arquette, as he didn't keep a dime from his WCW paychecks. He quietly donated all of it to the families of Brian Pillman, Owen Hart, and to Darren Drozdov, who became paralyzed from the neck down after a mishap in a WWF ring. Also, there was one more moment that definitely killed the WCW title dead, and that's when Vince Russo decided to win the championship in a steel cage match on Monday Nitro. And yeah, let me go ahead and just review that match real quick, okay? It was fucking atrocious, and it showed, once again, that nobody should ever hire Vince Russo for anything when it comes to pro wrestling, and no one should ever listen to his dumb ass. Whew. That's how I feel about all of that. But before I wrap this up, there's one more thing I want to talk about, if you can hold on for just a few more minutes. I brought up earlier how Drew Carey was in the WWE Hall of Fame, and, well, I puked in a bucket to show that I don't really feel okay with that. And look, I have no issue with celebrities in the WWE Hall of Fame. You know, when there's actually a WWE Hall of Fame building, it'll be cool to have a celebrity wing in that building. But it has to be the right celebrities. Celebrities who were a plus for professional wrestling. Drew Carey was not a plus, okay? Donald Trump was. And it still makes me mad that he got booed. He did a lot for WWF and pro wrestling. Arnold Schwarzenegger didn't do shit. He shouldn't be in there. Someone like Cyndi Lauper, who's not in there yet, should eventually be in there. And I hope to God one day she is. Like I said, I have no issue with this. And the reason why I'm bringing all this up is because, and this is going to piss a lot of you off, I know it's been speculated now for a while, I'm okay if David Arquette would go into the celebrity wing of the WWE Hall of Fame. I mean, think about it. It's not that like he was a plus for pro wrestling, but he was trying. He seemed to care about professional wrestling and WCW. He wrestled a few matches, made appearances, and even won a world championship. No other celebrity can say that. So, as much as I hate this, I have to be fair and say that David Arquette probably should go in the Hall of Fame. I'm okay with that. What do you guys think about it? Guys? Shit! Oh, okay, I guess you guys aren't okay with it. Shit! Okay, thanks for joining me on The Wrestling Fan Remembers, and I promise there'll be more to come. Okay, I'm gonna get out of here. Stop shooting at me!